Everybody just sit tight. We're having some issues.
Be patient, folks. Mother fudger.
Everything
I am so
okay?
sorry, folks. Be patient. I forgot to grab the pop-out chat, and I almost just grabbed the wrong thumbnail.
It's all good.
I'm getting the links sent out, so people be patient with me.
I go get some food from Taco.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just getting stuff set in the right places.
Okay. I'm gonna run the bath. Yeah, right, like I can run the bath.
Okay, let me get it to Twitter and Truth, and then we're good. And I did see you there, Blue Rose. So I'm glad you made it. Okay. Stop it, my hands. I swear, anyone want to trade me hands for the day? We are ready to roll if D is ready to roll as soon as my brain starts functioning a little bit too. We got to give the brain time to function. Except that might make matters worse if my brain does function. But, it is what it is, right? I hear D hollering. Hold on.
Yep, I'm rolling.
I got it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not starting completely without you because I can't remember which order you wanted stuff in because, taking notes is overrated.
Okay, well, I took them. So, all right, we got iced tea, and we have one pickle floating in half a jar of pickle juice. So, if we're
Ooh,
not sick
yummy.
by the end of this live, we'll never be sick.
Nah, pickle sounds good right now.
Isn't it?
Ooh.
I can't believe there's only one left. Wonder who did that. We won't name names.
Of course not. Art shows a witch, a broomstick, and headphones. I'm not sure if he's talking about you being listening in while flying in on a broom
Oh, yeah.
or if he's cleaning while listening.
I have been known to. I do fly in on a broom. So how does he know my secrets?
I beat the crap out of people with a broom.
Yep.
So, both of us in brooms. Very interesting. Art's
Uh,
gonna have to elaborate on that eventually.
yes, we will.
I have a feeling it means he's listening in while he's cleaning.
Probably.
I'm still gonna have fun with it though.
There we go. Oh, fudge.
I hear you.
Always good. Uh, as Crazy B told everybody, I think yesterday on questions that need answers. Wait, my broom's flying slow. If I only would have did what I said I was gonna do today, I would have been okay. Woo, we can't breathe.
Yeah, but again, yeah, no.
Why? Why? It's a good thing I didn't put money on this. You know that, right?
Oh, I absolutely know.
Oh God.
Oh, I absolutely
How did
know.
I get
And I find
sidetracked?
it funny.
I'm glad you're amused because I don't know how the hell I got sidetracked. Is what I want to know. I don't know where I went wrong.
I don't know either, but it always happens. It's like
I know.
squirrel, squirrel, squirrel over there, squirrel. You're as bad as Chase.
I know.
Squirrel.
I was supposed to. I've only had it since January. That I've been no since I came home the beginning of February. To hook up a nebulizer and take breathing treatments every day, and I've yet to do it. So Crazy B is like, D, don't you think you'd be able to breathe if you actually did what you were supposed to? And I'm like, okay, as soon as I'm done eating, it's sitting in a box right beside my bed. I'll get it hooked up. And I said, and if
Yep.
you want to hear something weird, I have the medication sitting in a box next to me. And this box keeps like throwing itself at me. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing over here? And I'm throwing the box back on the other side. And so Crazy B thinks that that's my message that I should be taking my breathing treatment. So
The
I'm like,
ghost is
okay,
telling you to take
the
them.
ghost is. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so as soon as I'm done eating, I promise you, I'm like, I promise I will get it hooked up. As soon as I got on and I heard her voice, I went, oh shit. I didn't, how did I what happened? I don't know what happened.
I do.
I'm, I'm just
Life.
so, I'm just so confused right now. Like, I don't know where I went wrong because after I ate, I have no idea what happened after that. That's
It's
okay.
all right. But that's why I'm here to make fun of you because I said, quite literally, I doubt it when you said that you were going to do it right after lunch.
Uh
You're going
huh.
to go and do this. And I'm like, yeah, right. And I'm
Uh huh.
laughing, joking about it. And I was right.
There's Blue
I
Rose.
hate being
Oh,
right.
right. There's Art doing housework. That's cool.
Blue says you need to be a scuba
Scuba
diver. It's
diver.
okay.
There we go. I'm gonna try. I guess. I think I
I'm
already sound
some
like a scuba
hydrants.
diver. Once we do that, man, it'll really be bad.
Well,
But
then they can just put your medicine infused into the oxygen you breathe.
this is true. That would work, right? So
Add a little albuterol to the compressed oxygen and nitrogen
then
and
I'll
whatever
be
the
able
fuck
to.
else they put in it. And you'll be all right.
I'll
Helium's
be
better for deep pressure because it's a lighter gas.
okay.
So,
Then I could talk at a higher squeak beat pitch.
what movie? What was it? The Sphere with Samuel L. Jackson,
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman. Remember that one? And yeah, does the Yellow Brick Road.
No.
If you've ever watched that movie, it's really freaking great.
What's
It's
the name of it?
a movie.
What's it called?
The Sphere.
The Sphere.
It's
Hmm.
actually a book. I read the book and fell in love with it. I love Michael Crichton's writing, and it got turned into a movie.
I probably saw it and have just forgotten it in the memory somewhere. Yeah, I
Can't
don't.
scuba dive, too many large fillings.
Yeah, I don't like scuba diving at all. And you would
I
think,
have never been there, never done that. Yeah,
and it's
I
good.
keep myself within the depths that I can swim and tread water, and I won't fly either.
No, I'm an excellent swimmer. I hate scuba diving, hate it. And I think
That's interesting.
back in the day when I had to take lifeguard training, we had to go in 16-foot water blindfolded to
Yeah.
find bodies. And I that was such a nightmare. That test
Oh, I bet. It's gotta be scary.
was scary as shit. I would never work for a lake or probably the ocean, whatever.
But
Uh,
didn't you say you did volunteer work for it?
oh yeah, all the time. Even now, when I'm at the lake or wherever I'm at, if I'm on the boat, if we're sitting at the beach, I'm always on lifeguard duty. It doesn't matter. Once that's in you, that never leaves you.
Well, that's like me with medicine. First
Yeah.
thing I go to is what's causing you to get sick and how can we make it better?
Yep. So I'll drag them out of the water and you can fix them.
There we go. That
Yep.
works.
Yep. So, uh, so Crazy Bee, Blue, Art, I appreciate you guys. As you all know, Crazy Bee set on questions that need answers. Unfortunately, my brother in law passed away last night from cancer. Uh, that was Eric's brother. It's taken a huge toll on Eric uh,
Mhm.
because I believe, and myself as well, because I've only come close to death numerous times, but it really brings mortality back to you, I think, and
Mhm.
makes you realize just how precious life is. And we've all been talking about uh,
Hey, Mom. So
I think, the struggle of uh, you're here today, you're gone tomorrow, and all for what? And all the stuff that we have, and the stuff that we collect, and the things that are so precious to us. Thank you, Art. The things that are so precious to us that we hold on so tightly about, they mean nothing in the end. Um, so it's a little bit hard. Eric's parents are both 93. Thank goodness. There were five children. Uh, all of the kids were there. His parents were there. The grandchildren were there. Uh, the in laws, all the married ones, we all stayed back because the place was small, the house was small. So it needed to be just family at that point.
Mhm.
And everybody left and got home. I guess Eric got home at what, 5:30, quarter to 6, and at 7:10 is when he passed. Actually, we got the call about an hour later. They had to wait for a doctor to come in and certify him.
Oh yeah.
So the tomorrow I will not be around at all. I have to be out helping do some things. So Crazy Bee's gonna take over. The funeral is on Saturday, so that won't impede on anything. But it's all good. I don't want to say happy, but I'm glad that his suffering is over. As Crazy Bee was on yesterday talking about, and if everybody would go listen to her podcast on questions that need answers, it was regarding the number of people that we know that have cancer, and uh, it's just amazing. All of the people that have gotten it for somehow. My sister in law, not blood related, but married to Eric's other brother, she just passed away from cancer in November of last year. So this is
Mhm.
within 6 months. This is just crazy.
That's kind of how we felt when Danny's aunt passed away. Then Phil's mother passed away, and then Phil's aunt, no, Phil's that yeah, his mother, then his aunt, from Phil's side because they're stepbrothers.
Hmm.
But Danny's biological aunt, Phil's mom and aunt, and then his one brother getting diagnosed all within a year, within 6 months of each other, within 6 months of them dying, because they were diagnosed November 2 years ago. They died by June and September of last year, and then Scott was diagnosed at the end of last year.
last year. Yeah. So he was diagnosed. Mark, I think, was diagnosed a little bit after Scott was, if
Yeah.
I recall correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. And
And
it's
Scott seems to be going into remission. The chemo was working.
that's great.
No radiation needed. But again, he's got four different types of he's got four cancers in four different places.
Hmm.
It's
And that
wild.
and that was Mark as well, right?
Mm.
Stomach,
Phil's
endometrial,
mom had
yeah.
bladder cancer, and her sister had his mom and his sister both got hit with bladder cancer. Perfectly fine. They get they had a visit with their doctors. They went to a pharmacy, got something I can't go into details about. Within a month of that, they were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, but both had been in very close medical contact with their doctors and were being checked routinely for any and all problems because of their age and other health problems. You can't tell me they missed that cancer. And somehow they ended up with stage 4 cancer out of the blue and were dead within 6 months of being diagnosed.
Wow.
Yes.
And the one that, as bad as Mark was, the one that freaked me out was, I watched the whole video on how they do it, was they had to do radiation to his brain because the cancer had spread to his brain. And they put a mask on that has to get formed onto your face. It's like almost a liquid, like jelly type thing that's got, you got to wait till it hardens and kind of got to be peeled off. I'm telling you, I don't know how the hell the man did it, because I would be flipping out. You'd have to drug me uh, to get that done. I don't know if I could do that or not.
Oh, not everybody's claustrophobic.
Yeah, well, this would be bad. I couldn't do it, I don't think. Uh, but they did the radiation, and that's what the mask is for, so that they can, it has tiny holes in it, and then they can pinpoint where the radiation's going to be shot, and you're
Mhm.
awake for that. And
Yep.
your head's locked down in a vice, which I've already had that type of stuff done. uh I don't know if I could do that or not. I probably, well, there's a lot of stuff I said I'd never do and I've done, so who knows. I don't
Yep.
want to, but it's sad nonetheless. Uh, to know that, you know, there's his parents at 93 burying their child. That just seems so bizarre. And, everybody in the family now is getting up there, in age. His older brother's 71. And, the family runs from their late 40s up to 71, and so in between there. So knowing that, things are what the future holds is just, we still have all these babies. You see, life and that all being created, but then on the other end, there's all these deaths that are going to be occurring at some point. We're all going to die, but just from an age
Yes.
factor, you know, uh, I don't know. Eric's grandparents lived to 96 and 97, so, we got maybe another 3 or 4 years with them. Who knows? But it's crazy. It truly is wild what's going on with the cancer stuff. So I urge everybody to go out there. The conversation was a good one. Some stats were pulled. Uh, and I think afterwards we talked Crazy B, and there was you did go back and look at the numbers, and there was a conflict, right, with the two numbers.
Actually, we talked afterwards because you had to leave, but I did draw attention to the conflict of
You did. Oh,
the miss the numbers don't line up from from one place. The World Cancer Association's numbers do not match the American Cancer Association's numbers
Right.
for the of some it's in the video. It's easier just to watch the video than me
Yeah.
going over it again.
Yeah. I suggest everybody watch it. It was a good segment.
Hmm.
Um, so what Crazy Bee and I decided to do was we were going to do Fridays as our catch all day, but the news has been hopping since Friday through the weekend. Yesterday, obviously, was Monday, and now here we're at Tuesday. So we're going to use Tuesdays to be the catch up on things that we wanted from the previous week, as well as what things are hopping in the news. And
Yep.
then we'll continue with our programming of we still have a lot of unfortunately corrupt politicians, but what we're going to do is try to break that up a little bit and throw in some additional type programming because our numbers really haven't been doing too well on corrupt politicians. We don't know if we're getting deliberately suppressed or if you guys just don't like the topic. So we're going to mess around this week and see if we can make some changes or not. So I guess with that being said, Crazy B, what else you got going on?
Not much. Just the random stuff, my usual.
The usual. Okay.
Yeah, I know I was supposed to do gaming earlier today, but somebody accidentally unplugged the PlayStation, and it's finicky when it happens. So we had to completely unplug every wire and then plug everything back in order to get it to work right again. So I'll probably game after the podcast tonight.
Oh, okay. So maybe after the podcast, I'll do a breathing treatment.
Yeah, maybe. Or you'll forget again and see a squirrel and be like your dog Chase and be like, squirrel, and run off and forget
That's
it.
what I'm going to start doing, screaming squirrel. So, all right, girl. We got a busy,
S-
jam packed session, I think, today, don't we?
Yes, we do. And since you have the order list,
I
because,
have with.
me writing it
We're,
down, like I said.
we're all good. If I could read my writing, we would be better. Uh, I think we're starting off with Doge. The
The
little.
Doge video.
Uh huh.
Okay, let me grab it. All right. Where did you go? Um, right here. There it is. All righty. I am getting the hang of this. I think I know what I'm doing. Do you guys?
I know I don't know what I'm doing, so.
All right. Okay, so it's up, it's good. Let's hit play and listen to this.
Unbelievable. But this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident.
So, now again, they're saying these are people getting Social Security numbers. It doesn't mean they're claiming Social Security checks like disability.
No,
It
but
just
what.
means they were given a number, and we give those numbers to even the migrant workers that come up for a season or two and then go back.
And.
That's been a thing for as long as I've known migrant workers.
But you can do a lot of things with Social Security numbers too, so.
Well, yes,
Sure.
you can.
Right.
And again, they're paying into the system if they're working with those Social Security numbers. And a lot of them are shared numbers because, again, they're migrant workers. They're not permanent citizens. So it's a temporary number given to them. And they use that to collect tax money from the work checks. And that goes into our system, even though it's not a lot. I mean, if you hear the number, but when you
Uh,
hear it in comparison to our GDP, it's not a
that
lot
that isn't what is occurring up in New York though, with the uh
with the
little
scammers
yeah
and the
with the scammers
troublemakers.
and the
Yes.
mopeds deal with the illegals in the hotels where they're working every day.
And they should
Yeah.
not have been given a social
Correct.
security
Well,
number.
what
Those
they're
people
doing is
should
they're
not have.
sharing them. They're sharing them. So let's
Our
say,
government has been sharing those numbers where they have 20 people, 30 people to one number.
yeah, well,
That's
that's
not new.
happening. That and they have to, and they're sharing a bank account. So, but we're going to get into that. We have a DOGE piece that we'll be doing, as well as a immigration and border update that will be forthcoming as well. So, we just
Yes.
wanted you to see that currently this is what was, I think, stood out as a significant amount of additional Social Security numbers being given out. And once they're received, what happens to them? What are they doing with them? Are they
Well,
collecting?
that can be tracked.
Yes. Wow. Yeah, right. With the way things go. That's why they're there looking for fraud with the people that are 115 years old collecting Social Security checks.
Well,
That's
that's also what happens when we recycle social security numbers too.
Well, that's if these are unrecycled ones, dear. These are
That's
actually,
what I
yeah,
that's my understanding as well, but I'm just wondering if they really took it into consideration.
yeah. I'm sure they did. I don't think these guys are stupid guys. So, but you never know.
Oh, they do like to just kind of rush in. That's my issue with them. They rush in, they do a quick job, and they're not.
You don't
They're.
know that.
I
You're-
prefer meticulous and slow over fast.
You don't know if they haven't been meticulous. You're just going by what you're hearing in the news media.
I know, and that's one of the things that I take into consideration when I see this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is they may not be 100% accurate. We don't know. Or it might be very accurate. The only thing is, we won't know until time down the road sets in and everybody sifts through the data.
Well, let's put it this way. I give them way more credit than I give oversight in Congress, and I give the OMB or
Oh, yeah.
those other ones.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to be skeptical and scrutinizing because it's a government run project.
Hmm.
The government set it up, and I will never trust a government whether I voted for them or not. I don't trust them.
That's fine. You cannot trust them. I'm just saying. For years it's been this way. The wrecking ball was wrecking, so what can I say?
I know.
All
Yeah.
right.
What's next on
Next
our
up,
list?
we got Alice.
I
Now,
thought that was for tomorrow.
no, if you have her, just bring her up.
1 second.
And we will tell you that we're hoping to confirm this through Crazy Bee was going to look at patents, but we will.
Oh, yeah, I did. I did. I'm sorry. Wrong Alice. I was thinking of the corrupt politician one.
Oh,
I apologize.
you're
There
good.
was a corrupt politician named Alice too.
Okay.
Yes, give me a second and I will make sure we have these together because I found some very interesting stuff about this woman.
Okay. So the
So,
reason that I had Crazy Bee put this up today was because Eric's one of his main functions is heating and air conditioning, and I had no clue. And hopefully Crazy Bee confirmed it, but we will find out after
I
we watch
did.
the video.
I was
Don't
able
say
to find a lot of facts.
nothing. Don't say nothing. Let them see the video first. Then you can
Okay.
deny. Go ahead, hit play.
All right.
Black history facts you should know. In the early 1900s, keeping homes warm was a struggle. People burned coal or wood, which meant sitting close to the fireplace while the rest of the house stayed cold. But in 1919, Alice H. Parker, a brilliant black woman, changed everything.
I want to point out that that picture does not look like a black woman, but we're going to let that slide.
Okay.
December 23rd, she patented the first natural gas furnace for homes and offices. Her invention pulled in cold air, heated it, and sent warm air to different parts of the house using air ducts. Even cooler, her design allowed people to control the heat in separate rooms, something no one had done before. Alice's invention laid the foundation for the central heating systems we use today. She doesn't get the credit she deserves, but her work keeps millions of us warm every winter.
That is true.
It is.
Let me show you what I found about her. So, she is credited. So the history in general of the furnace. In 1855 is when they came up with the radiator, which is the boiled water pushed through the pipes to
Right.
warm up the different areas, right?
Yep.
1855, also a Bunsen burner was created. And that is another way that they had used heat in the different rooms, was the little gas burning furnaces, the little like the gas burning
Right.
areas in each room, basically a little fireplace.
Right. My grandpa
Um,
had that.
Yep. And then in 1919 was the first central heating system. Um, it was by Alice Parker. She invented and patented the first central heating system. And then the distributed forced air system, which helped circulate it a lot more efficiently, was invented in 1935. So now we have the modern furnace. Now, interesting thing about her, they said she invented this in 1919. She would have been 24 years old, because it turns out she was born in 1895 and she died in 1920. She died 1 year after inventing the furnace. She did not get to reap any of the financial benefits of that patent.
You're kidding. What'd she die from?
There's conflicting stories. One is due to a fire, the other is to heat stroke. They don't know for sure. No one's been able to actually find the proof on it.
Oh, wow.
But she did attend Howard University, and she graduated. She was awarded a certificate with honors in 1910. She was a cook at the kitchen in Morristown, New Jersey. She lived with her husband and a butler. And although the date of her death is unknown, it is thought that she died in 1920 due to a fire or a heat stroke.
Oh, my.
Interesting. And then
Yeah.
102 years later, they investigated Audrey Henderson. Of the investigation by Audrey Henderson of the network news found photos commonly said to be Parker were either Bessie Blount, Griffin, or an English woman of the same name, which is why the picture they showed, I
Oh,
pointed out, didn't look like a black woman,
right.
because it's actually probably not her, because there was actually no photos ever taken of her.
There's no photo. Oh,
And
wow.
back in that era, it's
They
very common
didn't.
to have
Yeah,
never had a photo taken of you
exactly.
because it was so expensive and time consuming.
Right.
Yes.
Wow, that's
So, yeah, interesting little tidbits. And again, she is credited with this, and it just sucks that we don't know much more else. And again, it's assumed she was born in 1895. They don't have any solid proof of it, and assumed she died in 1920. It's hard because records back then were a bitch to keep up with.
right.
I'm telling you. And some of them still weren't even accurate, because go figure, you were born up in the mountains and your birth was registered when your parents finally got to the town hall. And that could be a year or two later, but they still register the birth as the day you come in to register it.
Right.
It was very strange.
Hmm. Well, that's some interesting information. Thanks for looking that up, Crazy Bee.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed having fun looking it up, as always. You know me.
Yeah, that
I
was
love doing history dives and stuff like that.
right. I sent it over and she goes, I'm not quite sure I believe that yet or not. I have to look for the patent. I'm like, go for it, girl. So
Yes.
we,
And other people had done the deep dive.
mhm,
JJ, I will do with the fire, since most of all inventions that government want to unalive does this. Yeah, you know, it is interesting, though, that she created this and died a year later,
Later.
approximately,
Right.
and at
I
the age of
didn't say anything.
25.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it. So
Yeah,
thank you. Thank
it's not the first inventor to do that.
exactly. Yep. Won't be the last either.
Yep.
Okay, so next up, Spaghetti-O. Hold on a second there, dear. Okay, so we're going to go with, we're going to put a video in the description below by Bill O'Reilly. And rather than bore you to death with Bill O'Reilly for 28 minutes, we opted to go do some digging on some articles in relation to what O'Reilly had to say. So the first one up should be the BBC article regarding the China deal, and Trump is not getting credit for this past weekend. They were in China. They were in China. They were in Switzerland, or is that where they were, or Sweden?
I do not remember.
I don't remember either. They were in one of the S words, the SW words.
Where'd that BBC article go? I literally had it in here.
I don't know, but I
I'm
need.
telling you, they're messing with my stuff.
Well,
Okay, let me go grab it from the Discord.
okay.
I had it in the show notes.
I know. I sat there while we did it.
Oh my lord. There it is. Oh nope, that's not the BBC for that topic. Um, no, the BBC article was the one with China, right?
Yeah. The economy update.
Oh, that's why I'm looking in a different section for it. I am a dumbass, but
No,
we know that,
not.
so no worries.
If you're dumb,
There it is.
I don't know what I am.
Oh, I know what I am. I admit it. I acknowledge it. I
Go to
know.
the shop, or I'm gonna. You know what? I can't get in the car now. I got other shit on to do, so you'll have to wait till next week for me to deal with you.
Okay, well, that's fine. You can do that
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Especially since you'll probably forget about it.
Yeah, probably because you'll have me doing some other shit. You only gave me a list of 6 things to do. That's all. Okay, so this is as I said, so they struck a deal that China has agreed to open up to the US starting to deliver goods. Now, this is going to be a process that negotiations are going to continue, obviously, and I can just see it now, we'll take this car for that car. We'll give you this paper bag for a plastic bag. I'm not sure what it's ultimately going to look like, but the good news is, and nobody is reporting on it, is that negotiations have come to fruition and that it is good news that China has agreed to deal with the United States and open up their economy to us, and that the tariffs are going to go down significantly. So let's everybody say a little prayer and hope that this continues on the path that it is. So the US and China have agreed a truce to lower import taxes on goods being traded between the two countries. The agreement marks a major de-escalation of the trade war between the world's two biggest economies, which has sent shockwaves impacting countless other countries, including the UK. Here's what it all means. What has been announced. Both the US and China have confirmed a reduction in the tariffs they imposed on each other following the initial escalation by, would you scroll up, Crazy Bee? By Trump earlier this year. The deal involves both nations canceling some tariffs altogether and suspending others for 90 days by May 14th. The result is that additional U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports, that's the extra tariffs imposed in this recent standoff, will fall to from 145% to 30%, while recently hiked Chinese tariffs on U.S. imports will fall from 125% to 10%, and that's on some of them. China has also halted and scrapped other non-tariff countermeasures, such as the export of critical minerals to the U.S., which it put in place in response to the initial escalation. The U.S. measures still include an extra 20% component aimed at putting pressure on Beijing to do more to curb the illegal trade in fentanyl, a powerful opioid drug. The announcement came after the two countries held talks in, one of the SW words, Switzerland, the first between the two countries since Trump sparked the latest tariff war. What happens after the 90 days? Trying to predict the next steps is going to be difficult to say the least. Would you scroll up, Crazy B? But this is a major agreement between the world's two powerhouse economies and has been broadly welcomed. Even if the suspended tariffs are reinstated after 90 days, because the vast majority of the tariffs that were announced after Liberation Day have been canceled, U.S. tariffs on China would only rise to 54%, and Chinese tariffs on the U.S. would rise to 34%. However, talks between both governments are set to continue, so a further deal might be struck. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the consensus from both countries was that neither side wants a decoupling, while China's Commerce Ministry said the agreement was a step to lay the foundation to bridge differences and deepen cooperation. So relations between the U.S. and China are sounding more friendly, but as we've seen so far during this Trump presidency, things can change quickly. What goods do the U.S. and China trade with each other? In a word, lots. In 2024, the biggest category of goods exported from the U.S. to China were soybeans. I had no idea we grew so many soybeans, to be honest
Oh,
with you.
yes.
That's shocking.
Oh,
Primarily,
no, we have at least 20 fields around us that I can literally point to that
really?
are growing soybeans this year.
Wow. And they're primarily used to feed China's estimated 440 million pigs. Wow. The U.S. also sent pharmaceuticals and petroleum. Meanwhile, China exported large volumes of electronics, computers, and toys. Somehow that don't seem to correlate. Pigs, pharmaceuticals, petroleum, and we're getting electronics, computers, and toys. The biggest category of U.S. imports from China is smartphones, accounting for 9% of the total. A large portion of these smartphones, Apple iPhones, are made in China. However, the U.S. buys much more from China than it sells, which is something Trump has long been unhappy with. His reasoning, in part, for introducing tariffs and higher ones on countries which sell more to the U.S. than they buy, is to encourage U.S. consumers to buy more American made goods. Would you scroll up, Crazy B? Increase the amount of tax raised and boost manufacturing jobs. The escalating trade war in recent months has led to a collapse in the amount of goods being shipped across the Pacific Ocean, but investors believe the truce will lead to a rebound, with shares up for some of the world's biggest shipping firms. And then listed below, you'll see the top U.S. exports to China: soybeans, aircrafts, integrated circuits, pharmaceuticals, petroleum. From China to the U.S., smartphones, laptops, batteries, toys, telecoms, equipment. Has either side won? Politicians on both sides have started and will no doubt continue to claim victory over this truce. Despite the U.S. and China calling this a joint agreement, people in Beijing will interpret it as a Trump administration walking back from the tariffs, according to Janka Ortel, Director of Asia Program at the European Council. We are back to square one. Now negotiating can begin. The outcome is uncertain, but China is in a psychologically stronger position now than before, she said. The U.S. will argue its tariff rate on Chinese imports, although lower, is still hefty at 30%. This trade deal is a win for the United States, demonstrating President Trump's unparalleled expertise in securing deals that benefit the American people, a White House statement said. Economists at Deutsche Bank have suggested the lowering of tariffs, and last week's UK US deal on them means there's both a likely cap and floor to Trump's rates. The UK has one of the least imbalanced relationships with the US and now has a universal tariff rate of 10%. China has one of the most imbalanced relationships and now has a tariff rate of 30%. Go ahead, score up, Crazy B. It is reasonable that these two numbers now set the bounds of where American tariffs will end up this year. So, again, this is going to be ongoing, but I do believe that for all intents and purposes, you have to say at least we got them at the table, both sides. And I think that's a positive. Um, that's correct, Art. They said that they were still at 30%. Yes, we know prices are going to rise, and the question is how big. It beat 145%, but it's still an increase. That's correct. And we knew that, and we're not taking, what did we say before? How many years, decades of
Uh-huh.
mismanagement, and we can't fix it in 90 days. I don't know how long
Oh,
it's going
no.
to take. I have no clue how long it'll take. But I do hope that by the end of his 4-year terms, we are well on our way to
A better situation.
exactly. Thank you. You said that much better than I did, Crazy B. So,
And I will tolerate not getting Chinese garbage stuff for a few years and
right.
try and find as much cheaper alternative. And if I don't have it, I will create my own if I can.
Hmm.
I have been known to do that.
Okay, so that story is also, you'll listen to Bill O'Reilly talk about it. As I mentioned, that'll be on his uh, podcast, which we listed in the description below.
Yep.
Next up, we have the funniest thing so far, and that is Qatar or guitar, depending on how you pronounce it.
It's pronounced Qatar if you're
Uh,
Arabic.
yes, and they are going to donate a jet plane to the Trump administration to
Let me
replace
pull that up
to
so
replace
they
Air
can see
Force
it.
One. And if you want to read that one, Crazy B,
Oh,
um,
there's a video on it.
we have a video too. They
They have
went
a
up.
video playing. I don't know.
Okay, I didn't watch it.
Okay, well, in the meantime, I can read it. Let me enlarge so everyone can see. And what may be the most valuable gift ever extended to the United States from a foreign government, the Trump administration is preparing to accept a super luxury Boeing 747 8 jumbo jet from the royal family of Qatar. Um, a gift that is to be available for use of President Donald Trump as the new Air Force One until shortly before he leaves office, at which time the ownership of the plane will be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation. Source familiar with the proposed arrangement told ABC. Um, I love how they just put it source familiar. How about a
Right,
source
right.
familiar with, these
How
people
about
are
name
getting more
the
and more
source?
illiterate.
Yes, and how about name the source?
Yeah, it would be so nice. The gift has been expected to be announced next week when Trump visits Qatar for the first foreign trip of his second term. According to the source familiar with the plans, again, according to sources. Okay, there we go. Oh, you know what? That's why they didn't put A. There's an S at the end. Oh my God, how did I miss that? That's why it says sources familiar with the proposed arrangement told ABC News. How did I miss the S at the end of that?
Mm, we'll talk about it afterwards, maybe.
Okay. But a senior White House official said the gift will not be presented or gifted while the president is in Qatar this week. In a social media post Sunday night, Trump confirmed his administration was preparing to accept the aircraft, calling it a very public and transparent transaction within the Defense Department. Trump had previously toured the plane, which is so opulently configured. It is known as the Flying Palace. While it is parked in the West Palm Beach International Airport in February. That is a. I hope that's the right jet. Either way, that's pretty.
It's
That's
beautiful.
it is. Um, I know a pilot. I'll have to ask him about it if that's the actual plane or if it's wrong. Um, just confirming that that's an accurate picture and they just didn't grab some plane off the internet
Right,
and
right.
say, "Here it is."
I'm sure they did.
Um, they probably did with how lazy this is
Uh,
written. Yeah. So, anyways, the highly Air Force One, complete with listening devices, tracking devices, 24/7 monitors. No thanks. There's way more to Air Force One than just the average plane. Yeah, that is true. Our the highly unusual, unprecedented arrangement is sure to raise questions about whether it is legal for the Trump administration and ultimately the Trump Presidential Library Foundation to accept such a valuable gift from a foreign power. That is a very good question
I've
because
already
even
heard. Yeah, I've already heard it violates the emoluments clause.
I
So
thought so.
yeah, the Dems are coming at it. So.
Yeah, there's otherwise you look like you're corrupted.
Uh-huh. But this is
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I kind of like this one. We'll go ahead, finish up, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay. Anticipating those questions, sources told ABC News that lawyers for the White House counsel office and the Department of Justice drafted an analysis for the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, concluding that concluding that is legal for the Department of Defense to accept the aircraft as a gift and later turn it over to the Presidential Library. Um, they needed to add it is legal for the Department of Defense. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm nitpicky. Here I am being a grammar Nazi. Um many others JJ says many others say that the flying palace goes to the DOD and Trump will just have access to it. They're going to have to scour that thing for listening devices. I'm
Oh,
telling
I'm
you.
sure. I'm sure it'll be cleaned. It'll be swept.
Um, Yeah. So it's legal for the Department of Defense to accept the aircraft as a gift and later turn it over to the Trump Library, and that it does not violate laws against bribery and or the Constitution's prohibition, the the fuck it, I'm not
Um,
saying it clause.
emoluments clause. Yes.
I can't
I
pronounce it
don't
today, so
worry.
fuck
Hey,
it.
I have it.
That clause
Yeah.
of any U.S. government official accepting gifts from any king, prince, or foreign state. Sources told ABC News that the Attorney General Pam Bondi and Trump's top White House lawyer David Warrington concluded it would be legally permissible for the donation of the aircraft to be conditioned for transferring its ownership to Trump's presidential library before the end of his term, according to sources familiar with their determination. The source said Bondi provided a legal memorandum addressed to the White House counsel's office last week after Warrington asked her for advice on the legality of the Pentagon's accepting such a donation. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement on ABC to ABC News, any gift given by a foreign government is always accepted in full compliance with all applicable. Oh my lord, I will learn to read. Laws. President Trump's administration is committed to a full transparency Levitt added. Ali Al Ansari, Qatar's media attache, said in a statement that the transfer of the aircraft for temporary use as Air Force One is currently under consideration by Qatar's Ministry of Defense for the U.S. Department of Defense. I really don't like how illiterate some of these journalists are. I apologize. The plane will initially be transferred to the United States Air Force, which will modify the 13-year-old aircraft to meet U.S. military specifications required for any aircraft used to transport the President of the United States. Multiple sources familiar with the proposed arrangement said. So basically, he's getting a plane for him to use, and any president after him is just, yeah, you can go back to that old piece of shit we've been flying since, like, what, the 80s?
They said it's 40 years old, right?
Oh, yeah, so I said 80s, yeah, that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so Trump gets a new one, but it's flashy and all that, but as soon as he's done, the next president doesn't get jack shit because it goes to the library.
Oh, well.
Interesting. My pilot friend said that it's a 5-star hotel on a plane and you don't have to pay for the food. Those come complimentary. So you could have the most fine dining and champagne unlimited, all for one price. Holy shit. Hey Brent, JJ is saying I am hoping that the palace should be used to continue deportation ops until all illegals are removed.
Oh, there you go.
Eh,
Hey, Brent.
entertaining there.
How you doing, Brent?
Um, Brent says Trump got a new plane and only he gets to use it. That's hilarious.
I love
Yes,
it.
it is.
I love it. I think that's like one of the biggest trolls I've ever seen.
Yeah, but
But,
that's not fair to JD Vance if he takes over the presidency next term.
well, he'll have to get his own. I don't, what can I tell you? Maybe Trump will teach him the art of the deal. I don't know.
Or this is somehow a payoff and that Qatar is getting something in return and Trump is really corrupt.
Well, here's what's interesting then next. And there is no you can listen to it in Bill O'Reilly's there's really not much to tell yet. But oh, excuse me one moment.
Yep, go ahead. I'll wait for you to come back.
Okay.
Okay, she must have muted it. We shall be patient and twiddle our thumbs while she handles that phone call. Because I cannot remember for the life of me what the hell we had next lined up. Me taking notes while downloading videos and getting links ready on the show notes just is so overrated. So, taking notes in which order they
Crazy
should be
B.
in. Can you hear me, Dee?
No, I got to go back out. Okay.
Story of our life with this system. As soon as a phone call comes in, we get screwed. So, patience is a virtue. She shall be back. And in the meantime, yeah. So, there's a lot of questions to be raised about this, and I choose to be skeptical for many reasons. Here's Ms. D again. Hello, Ms. D.
Hello. Sorry about that. Um, so there's very limited information, but they will be in Saudi Arabia next week. Trump will be there as well as Marco Rubio, Bissett, and others. Not for any type of trade agreements per se regarding tariffs, but they're going to visit the different portions of the country to see if there are deals to be made between Saudi Arabia and the United States. In
Mm-hmm.
particular, what they're going to be looking for is, well, one of the big things is where the shoreline is. They want to be able to, in the event that Iran, there's any type of war that breaks out with Iran, they want to be able to use the beaches to do staging of.
Deploy and
Uh huh.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep. They want to use that area. So that's
So
going
it's
to
a military strategic positioning plan.
be, yeah. Pete Hegseth will be on that tour as well. So it's multifaceted. So if Trump is doing something illegal, he's probably going to go check out his plane and do whatever. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
find
it does
out.
kind of worry me though. Like I said, I'm going to be critical here just because too many people get wrapped up in not being critical. And I'm not blaming it on anybody or saying anything bad about them. Just,
Hmm.
I try to keep my mind, maybe Trump is corrupt.
Who knows? I never say
Yeah.
never. I mean, look at Mr. Biden.
Oh, don't even get me started on how bad that one was and the ones before him.
I mean,
Oh my God.
maybe he figures he's taking the plane. I mean, yeah, it's from Saudi Arabia, but look at all the equipment and stuff we left at Afghanistan. So I guess, it all something, something, it all rotates around. I don't know. Just think of it that way. Equipment rotates around. Maybe we'll be able to get a Jeep back once in a while. Who knows? Uh, I just think it's highly amusing. It's one of the funnier things. He's definitely trolling on this one. But if it is true that there's a possibility of getting the plane, hey, go for it. If it's legal and he's not doing anything wrong, uh, I don't know. I don't know what the largest gift, to tell you the truth, has been to any other president or to their libraries. Uh,
I could look that up for questions that need answers on Sunday.
that'd be cool.
That would give us something to do. And my son came in and said something interesting as well that I got to look into. Something about the Diddy biography, The Fall of Diddy, came out just 3 weeks after his arrest. And who the hell wrote it that quickly?
Right.
He thinks that they knew it was coming and had the book ready to go.
Of course they did.
So yeah. Hold on. Art post. Oh my God! Someone sent me a message on Discord and I had it in the way. It's the idea that Trump thinks it's his personal property that makes it an issue. Perhaps Trump is trolling, but he's also pretty self-absorbed.
Oh, we know that, Art. We know that.
Oh, that is a given. I mean, come
And
on. I remember Trump back in his WWE days and
yeah,
WWF. Hell,
uh-huh.
I remember WWF before the World Wildlife Federation had a fit about it. So, yeah, I am that old. And yeah,
There's
Trump's got an ego.
yeah, and
Yep,
there's something to be said for political leaders. It's widely documented that they all have some form of
form of narcissism.
narcissism. Think they're hot shit, and I think every single one of them that would be an interesting questions that need answers. Every president, what was their frickin'
A mental
evaluation?
evaluation of all the presidents of the United
I don't
States.
know about a mental
Well,
evaluation.
shit. We might have a few schizophrenics. We have a couple people on power trips. We
There you go.
definitely have the egomaniacal.
Yeah.
Um,
How do you
yeah.
know that the boat that George Washington crossed the Delaware in, he didn't have that hijacked somewhere that, some country didn't behest upon him. So he wouldn't say,
No, he probably hijacked it from a farmer. Like, sorry,
uh-huh,
buddy, I need this.
right.
Your
So,
fishing's gonna have to wait.
right. So I think every one of them has something. Uh, when I look back on Obama, he in his own way got his own issues.
Oh,
All of
don't
them
get me
do.
started on that.
All of them do. So, yeah, is Trump out there? Yes, he is. He's not a politician. And as I said, he's the wrecking ball, and more than half the country wanted the wrecking ball. So I'm sorry,
I
but
don't mind the change. I just want to make sure the change is
yeah,
done legally.
as long as it's legal. If it's not legal, then we have to send it
Call
back.
them out.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we just say thank you, but no thank you. We appreciate the gift, you know? I mean, there were times that, I couldn't accept certain things, and, somebody would send something and you'd have to send it back, thank you, but no thank you. So, Anyway, we'll see
The
what.
idea to think you're the leader of the free world would put you pretty high on the narcissistic spectrum. Oh, yes, it does. And
Yeah,
I'm not even going to argue that.
right. We don't. Absolutely not. We do not.
Oh,
So,
he is very high on the narcissistic spectrum.
oh
I
yeah,
don't doubt it at all. Um,
yeah.
and is he a convol? He's an asshole. He's an asshole in my opinion. But his asshole personality is getting shit done that we've been begging to get done for years.
Mm-hmm.
Just as long as he does it in a legal way, I will tolerate that personality because I didn't like Trump before or after his presidencies. I don't like his personality, but his personality happens to be the tool we need, in my opinion. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. Just at this moment, that's my opinion. His personality is what we need to get it done.
Right.
Because I am so sick of these assholes in Congress and everywhere else.
Right.
And we're getting screwed over constantly, further and further in debt. And our politicians are doing less and less work every year.
Right.
I can't stand it.
And we see that by the bills that they produce. You know, in
Yeah.
12 years, you've done a hundred bills or something like that. I mean,
And most of them are just change the wording of the bill.
exactly. It's
Change
nothing
the
more.
wording of this bill because it's not nice.
Uh-huh. Or it has a period in the wrong place, or I want to put the word "and" in between the sentences. Okay,
Uh-huh.
then.
I have issues with that. When our politicians are just literally nitpicking old laws, something ain't right.
Correct. Okay, so up next there, ma'am, we are on the executive order. Bill O'Reilly is now done. So if you want to, the last four things we just discussed, he does,
The You want
yeah,
the
a
White
little.
House page?
Uh, we could throw that up there. I really, no. How about just putting the White House page in the description below? And then
Okay.
we have an article, correct? From the
We have
AP?
3 articles.
Yeah, so
Oh,
let's
well,
just,
technically 1 article on the Trump executive order right here.
okay, so we have the executive order that Trump just signed regarding pharmaceuticals. That only is relevant to Medicare drugs and potentially some Medicaid drugs. That is why he can get away with signing the executive order. It is not for all drugs. So if you're on Medicare or some Medicaid drugs, the executive order will pertain to you. Now,
Yep.
there is a White House paper that was put out. It's a little bit on the lengthy side. I don't want to waste your time reading it. We'll put it in the description below. But we do have from the AP, there's obviously, again, we're getting all type of negative press out there about Trump trying to get these prices lowered. Now, the Dems had said for years that they were going to take this on. Uh, Now, Trump has signed the executive order, and next week we will, or maybe this week, depending on what Crazy B does, we do have some rhinos giving some significant pushback to Trump passing this into law, saying
Yeah.
that the Dems are the one that's blocking it, when in reality, the rhinos are doing the blocking. And from this rhino situation, uh, there are calls for every single one of them to be primaried, but Crazy B will either tomorrow or we will do it Thursday and Friday. We'll get into that a little bit in more detailed about these rhinos. So, uh, as I said, so this executive order that he signed is for Medicare and Medicaid. How long is this article, Crazy B?
Let me scroll.
Okay. You feel like
Uh,
reading again and then I'll do the next one?
it's pretty long.
Okay, why don't we split it up then? I'll start it and then I'll holler in for you, okay?
All right.
Okay,
Okay,
so
there we are back at the top.
okay, so Trump on Monday signed a sweeping executive order setting a 30-day deadline for drug makers to electively lower the cost of prescription drugs in the U.S. or face new limits down the road over what the government will pay. The order calls on the Health Department, led by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to broker new price tags for drugs over the next month. If deals are not reached, Kennedy will be tasked with developing a new rule that ties the price the U.S. pays for medications to lower prices paid by other countries. Just a question.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if Oz is going to have anything to do with that, since he's with Medicare.
I'm
Uh,
not sure.
I,
He
I,
may have something to do with it, but not a lot.
okay, I'm just curious if he is going to or not. We're going to equalize, Trump said during a Monday morning press conference. We're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe pays. It's unclear what, if any, impact the Republican president's executive order will have on millions of Americans who have private health insurance. The federal government has the most power to shape the price it pays for drugs covered by Medicare and Medicaid. Trump's promised new but uncertain savings on drug prices just hours after the Republican led House released its new plan to trim $880 billion from Medicaid. Taxpayers spend several hundreds of billions of dollars on prescription drugs, injectables, transfusions, and other medications every year through Medicare, which covers nearly 70 million older Americans. Medicaid, which also provides nearly free health care for almost 80 million poor and disabled people in the U.S., also spends tens of billions of dollars each year for drugs. Now, I think I mentioned yesterday, Crazy Bee, on your podcast, since I became disabled, I am on Medicare. My out of
Hmm.
pocket, my out of pocket for my medication is $7,000 a year.
It is a lot.
That's out of pocket. That's not my co-pays, my office visits, any hospital stays, anything like that. Strictly drugs. That's just from the pharmacy, nothing else. None of my specialty items, anything like that. That's strictly just drugs.
Hmm.
So when when you hear about all of this story and what the other countries and everything are doing, and what the United States is the one that's creating the drugs, uh, facilitating getting them over to other countries. Obviously we recognize the poorer countries, but how do you explain other countries paying significantly less than we are? I don't know the answer to that question. And there was a statement in one of the comments that one of the pharmaceutical reps said, you know what, the Americans are pretty much suckers for paying this through their taxes and through their premiums and copays, and they're just stupid and they'll just keep continuing to do so.
Brent has a question. Do you fall into the new system where they cover everything after 2000 prescription cap?
No, I don't. I fall into the donut hole after I forget how much money. Once I fall into the donut hole, then I start paying closer to fuller price, and then I have to meet the deductible, then the plan will start to pay again. I'd have to look at the specifics. I don't recall. I don't pay attention to it anymore, only because
It's a headache.
I've been doing it for so many years now. I just know most people don't fall into the donut hole till like towards the end of the year. I was already in the donut hole in April this year, so it's just a nightmare. Um, yeah, because
Uh,
they cap the price. We don't cap it, correct?
we're the only place that hasn't put caps on it and forced the pharmaceuticals to deal with us. We just pay whatever they tell us to
Exactly. And why is that?
because we're too nice.
Because we're nice, or as that drug rep said, we're assholes. We're idiots. We're morons. We're stupid people.
Usually the bleeding hearts are.
Oh,
All
okay.
of those.
Well, never mind. You just shut up. Okay, top U.S. drug makers say Trump's order is bad for patients. The nation's pharmaceutical lobby, which represents the top U.S. drug makers, immediately pushed back against Trump's order, calling it a bad deal for American patients. Drug makers have long argued that any threats to their profits could impact the research they do to develop new drugs.
Of course.
Now hold on a second, Crazy B. We had a back that up a second. What the heck did we just look at? Oh fudge, we just looked
Oh,
at it.
they're blackmailing us. The drug
Yeah,
companies are blackmailing
right.
us. Pay what
But
we say, or we're not going to do the research.
right, but hold on. Remember 79 new drugs were gonna go away. Why? Oh fudge. What's the correlation with that? There's something. Oh shit. Oh, I hate when this happens. Okay. Unreal. How, Brent? I don't understand. So they make her pay $230 a month per. Wow, that's crazy. Well,
And it's supposed to be
y-
Symbicort, not Symbicort. But
okay. The
yeah.
only the only difference I would say, Brent, is probably if that's the only med she's on. I take. You don't want to know how many drugs I take. Let's just say they're in the several dozens, if that makes any sense. I take approximately 40 pills a day, twice a day, some 3 times. But I have 40 prescriptions I have. And that's the bare minimum. That is everything that's been totally stripped off. That if you want to keep this chick alive and up and kicking, that's what we're going to do to keep her up and kicking. And trust me,
Mhm.
I've gone cold turkey and have stopped everything 3 times. I have now promised them I would never do that again because now we're into serious land and I could kill myself the next time I do it. So I won't do it. But
Yeah.
the shit that I have, it's necessary. So, unfortunately, the disease that I have has wreaked havoc on so many different body parts that, short of, I could really, and we've talked about this, get rid of all of the medication and just drink alcohol. That would work.
Well, no, not all of the medication. You do need
Just
some
one.
for a
I'll
lot of
just do
things.
I'll just take the one that was to really keep me alive, but then just do alcohol. What do you think? I'll
I
talk to the
mean, if you want to give it a go.
I could talk to the doctor about that when I see him next week.
But I mean, you're on multiple medications for multiple things. Alcohol does not cure some of those things or help them. In some cases, you just
It would exasperate things, but
not
hey,
necessarily.
no.
It wouldn't necessarily make it worse, but it doesn't make the situation better either. So, like, someone with seizures, drinking alcohol isn't going to cure or moderate the seizures. You're still going to have them even though you are drinking alcohol. It's not going to change those.
Hmm.
Diabetes can actually end up worse because of alcohol,
Right, I know that.
and if you don't keep it controlled, blood pressure can be impacted by it, so that would be okay. It may increase it depending. Well, in your case, you do need the increased blood pressure. So, but yeah, there's some things it doesn't actually treat, and you'd have to be
Yeah,
careful of that.
I'd be in trouble with the seizures and stuff. Never mind. All right,
You
so
can't just cut out all medicines. You
well,
can cut out a good chunk, but
well,
not all.
we'll talk about that next week when we go to the doctor. Importing foreign prices from socialist countries would be a bad deal for American patients and workers. Stephen Ubel, the president and CEO of Pharma, said in a statement. It would mean less treatments and cures and would jeopardize the hundreds of billions our member
Um,
companies are planning to invest in America.
they've
Yes.
never cured anything.
Yeah, tell me what you
Bullshit when
have.
they say cures.
They can't cure freaking toenail fungus. What the frick are they talking about? They can't cure acne. They can't cure dandruff. I mean, let alone anything serious.
They've never produced a actual cure.
Uh-huh. Of anything.
Yep. So they're full of shit when they say it would mean less treatments and cures. No, you guys are just sucking in money, running joke studies and testing and research, and not actually producing anything of value other than something to moderate the symptoms of an actual illness. And that in itself will have side effects. They've
Mm-hmm.
not cured a fucking thing.
Exactly. Would
I
you
just want to point that out.
thank you for pointing that out. We appreciate that. Would you please scroll up? Thank you. Trump's so-called most favored nation approach to Medicare drug pricing has been controversial since he first tried to implement it during his first term. He signed a similar executive order in the final weeks of his presidency, which called for the U.S. to only pay a lower price that other countries pay for some drugs, such as injectables or cancer drugs given through infusions administered in a doctor's office.
Oh,
And
sorry.
look, and I do believe that's Oz, isn't it? Yep, there he is. Oz was with him, and
Oz over here, Kennedy over here.
Oz went blonde. Oh my.
Oh, he did dye
Interesting.
blonde into his hair.
Yes, he did. He must be taken after Trump. That narrow executive order faced hurdles with a court order that blocked the rule from going into effect under President Joe Biden's administration. Of course it did. The pharmaceutical industry argued that Trump's 2020 attempt would give foreign governments the upper hand in deciding the value of medicines in the U.S. The concept also remains unpopular with many in his own party. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Republican, South Dakota, noted to reporters on Monday that it would be fairly controversial if Trump had tried to push through the policy legislatively rather than via an executive order. Why?
I don't
We
know.
have
I
the
don't see
House,
how it's a problem.
we have the House, we have the Senate. Why? Why, Thune? Why can't you do your damn job? Get the fucking shit pushed through. I'm sick. I'm sick of this shit. Not just this, but all of it. Just all of it.
Uh-huh.
And Thune is one of the little MFers that they're going to try to. Oh, just shut up, D. That they're going to try to primary. And I hope he gets his ass burned. And then
I do as well.
don't use any lotion on it because it ain't going to work because nothing cures it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize for the foul
Um,
language.
it's all right. I just want to point out what Art was saying. The reason we have 10 drugs to treat the same issue is because we're kind of not allowed to have monopolies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, free trade, capitalists. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. Trump repeatedly defended pharmaceutical companies, instead blaming other countries for the high price Americans pay for drugs during a wide ranging speech at the White House on Monday. The president was flanked by Kennedy, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz, Food and Drug Administrator Commissioner Dr. Marty Markary, and National Institutes of Health Director Jay Bhattacharya. See, I thought he popped up there as the
Mm-hmm.
director. He did, however, threaten the companies with federal investigations into their practices and opening up the U.S. drug market to bring in more imported medications from other countries. The pharmaceutical companies make most of their products from America, Trump said. That's not a good thing. Trump played up the announcement over the weekend, boasting in one post that his plan could, of course, save trillions of dollars. But on Monday, the White House offered no specifics for how much money the administration anticipates it could save. The health department's top leaders will be meeting with drug companies' executives over the next 30 days to offer new prices on drugs that are based off of what other country pays, Oz said on Monday. There's the answer to my question. Oz is going to be involved. Can't wait to see that. Americans are unlikely to see relief on rising drug costs quickly because of the order, said Rachel Sachs, a health law expert at Washington University. It really does seem the plan is to ask manufacturers to voluntarily lower their prices to some point, which is not known, Sachs said. If they do not lower their prices to the desired point, HHS shall take other actions with a very long timeline, some of which could potentially, years in the future, lower drug prices. I'll probably be dead then, is what they're saying.
Same here.
The health department has the most authority to change the prices of drugs covered by Medicare and Medicaid because it can set regulations. Even still, the agency's power to do so is limited. Congress just approved in 2022 a new law that allows Medicare to negotiate the price it pays for a handful of prescription drugs starting in 2026. Before the law, Medicare paid what the drug companies charged. Drug companies unsuccessfully sued over the implementation of the law. I didn't know about that either.
That was under Biden, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
Biden pulled that one.
okay. Would you scroll up? And then we have the price that millions of Americans covered by private insurance pay for drugs is even harder for the agency to manipulate. The U.S. routinely outspends other nations on drug prices compared with other large and wealthy countries, a problem that has long drawn the ire of both major political parties. But a lasting fix has never cleared Congress. Of course not. Trump came into his first term accusing pharmaceutical companies of getting away with murder and complaining that other countries whose governments set drug prices were taking advantage of Americans. Trump says he'll do the right thing. Ahead of the announcement, Trump puffed up his rhetoric toward the industry again on social media, writing that the pharmaceutical/drug companies would say for years that it was research and development costs, and that all of these costs were and would be, for no reason whatsoever, borne by the suckers of America alone. And there's that statement that I referenced previously. Referring to the drug company's powerful lobbying efforts, he said that the campaign contributions can do wonders, but not with me and not with the Republican Party. We are going to do the right thing, he wrote. Several pharmaceutical companies gained ground in the stock market on Monday morning. Merck, a company that made up $64.2 billion last year with the help of its cancer treatment Keytruda, jumped 3.9%. Pharma giant Pfizer, which notched $63.6 billion in revenue in 2024, rose 2.5%, while Gilead Sciences rose 5.8%.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like we're going to see anything soon, does it?
It could be a bit. If we see it in our lifetime, it will be a miracle.
And I mean, unless the Republicans actually act on this is just an executive order that
That
could
goes
be
to nowhere.
exactly.
It's just another thing to make him look good. Oh, I wrote an executive order for it. And nobody realizes that executive order just went nowhere because Congress.
Okay, and I want to know why Thune says it's controversial.
I still don't see how it's controversial to lock a pharmaceutical company into a fair price and they can't price gouge us.
I mean, there's things like a lot of the pharmaceutical companies will offer say a coupon, $25 off for the next 6 months, or get the first 3 months of this prescription free before you pay. That's only via private health insurance. Those
Uh
on
huh.
those people that are on Medicare cannot use those services.
You're not allowed to. You're
I
insured.
know they can actually. Yeah, no, the insurance, Medicaid and Medicare have always just, they'll try to, hey, we won't cover this. It's too expensive, or you haven't done your paperwork right. But nine times out of 10, they'll buy you the cheapest quality, one. It doesn't
Right,
have to be the best quality, but they'll pay the cheapest. Yeah.
right. But let's just say there's a brand, a particular. It doesn't matter. Just say there's a drug that the drug company is offering a coupon themselves, like a
That
manufacturer
coupon
coupon.
doesn't matter because Medicaid, Medicare will just pay the price without it.
That's correct, and you're not
So
even.
why would they use it
Well,
and apply it? It
you're not
doesn't make
allowed.
any sense because they got to make that money back.
That's correct. So if it's something that is, say, and even if I were to say, do not use my insurance,
They
that,
can't.
nope, it doesn't fly. Correct.
They have
So
to have your insurance. If you have insurance, you have to use it. You
that's
cannot
correct.
say, nope, no insurance, please, for the
Right.
day. Nope,
And so,
does not work.
and if you have Medicare or Medicaid, some Medicaids, if you have Medicare, for the most part, you do not get to use manufacturer coupons. So that in of itself leads to some financial difficulty because there are drugs out there that I've seen that have had, here's 6 months worth of free medication, but I have not had access to it and I've had to pay whatever the price was.
Art says I have an over the counter prescription for $90 with a good RX price of 38. Been there for 2 years.
Yes, and I was just going to mention that next. There's GoodRx, and there's another company that initially, when GoodRx came out, they would not permit uh, me to use it. And then as things got out of control, I can use GoodRx, and that has been cheaper at times than the Medicare plan has been. But I also have it set at my pharmacy that anything that costs over $50, they have to call me and tell me that it's $50 or more. And then I either go back to the pharmacist and say I want something cheaper, or then I go out and try to find it cheaper on
At a
GoodRx.
different pharmacy,
Exactly. Yep. It's ridiculous.
which is a very massive headache. But again, this is how, even I bargain shop my medications
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of saving Medicare and Medicaid money.
Mm-hmm.
I will bargain shop that shit without hesitation. Lady Hamilton's husband is a nurse, um, MS in medicine. Oh, okay, and creates and uses tinctures with alcohol like Mama Mac does.
Okay.
I don't know why JJ's comment only showed up on Rumble. I can't share it over here. Oh, because it was up higher. I just noticed it. Sorry, I apologize. And Mama Mac does the same thing. I share that information on questions that need answers.
Right.
Her Alp
And
Llama website. I have some of her stuff here. I
right.
have her mullein in oil, in the olive oil,
Right.
because she ran out of the alcohol one, and I'm like, well, I need it. My allergies and stuff, and I had a ear infection starting, and so you can put the mullein oil in your ear because it's an antimicrobial as well, and it helped clear that up.
Mm.
So, yeah,
And
tinctures are very good things to have.
right. And I'm familiar with Mama Mac services. I can use some things, but other things I have to they interact and I can't use them. So if you're on uh prescription medication and decide that you're doing
Cross reference.
cross reference and talk to your doctor. So
I have a digital physician's desk reference for prescriptions
mhm,
that I use all the time. I am like constantly looking up weird things because I'm bored. Um, but I used it while I was in school and as a medical assistant because the doctor's like, hey, check for this, check for that, compare these medicines. And
right.
yep, guess who had to do the work? He just wants the answers, and so I had to learn how to read these things. That's how I learned to read drug studies. They
Right.
wanted to know more how accurate the studies were, and they taught me how to read studies. So, yeah,
There you go.
it's good to know. And Mama Mac used to work for the pharmaceuticals, if I remember correctly,
That's
and
correct.
now makes the tinctures at home with less of the
Yes,
nonsense.
she was an actual chemist, and
Yes.
till things happened, and then went on her merry business. So
And she does amazing work with it.
she,
And her prices aren't bad. They're average,
mm-hmm.
but you're also supporting a local person who's awesome.
Right. Yes.
Art says the problem is all the rates are negotiated with everybody along the way, the drug plan, the pharmacy supplier, and so on. Each one will be different when you get to the cash register. Yep.
Absolutely. 100.
And that's why I like some of these places that literally take the core root of the medicine and skip all the fillers and just give you a dialed back diluted version of it, so it's not, and they give it to you in something that's not going to kill you.
Right.
Vodka is a great one for the tinctures. So you add some mullein or some lion's mane, the core ingredient of some of these pills that we're taking, and drops it into alcohol and says, "Here you go." I mean,
Mm.
it's the same thing as the medications, just less additives, preservatives, colors. You
Exactly.
know, I say, I'll again, mullein is, you can use mullein. You can take mullein leaf and stems, mostly the leaf, wrap it up in cigarette paper and smoke that shit, and it'll help with your asthma and allergies. That has been studied. Yet it's not on the mass market.
Right. And again, we
Why?
are not providing any medical advice. We are just giving actual uh,
We're giving resources if you want
that
further information.
either resources or that we have each firsthand knowledge dealing with ourselves. So I
And
myself,
working as a medical assistant
correct,
for many years
right.
and having to go through this and compare drugs and find this information and help the doctor dose it
I'm
and
not
see if
sure
there's
that
interactions.
I'm not sure that
Yes.
really give a good rat's ass about that. To be quite
Well,
honest,
I'm just pointing it out. It's on my
I
resume, so they
I
can bite me at YouTube.
I understand that, but I'm just saying I don't think they really give a good shit. You know what I mean?
I know, but everybody in the audience can at least acknowledge that I did this and that they can
True.
trust that I'm saying. You can talk to these people because they have a lot of experience.
Correct. And that,
Like if you want aspirin, go chew on some willow bark.
yes,
Nobody tells you that.
I
My neighbor
actually
has a
have
willow
it.
tree.
So do I. One thing I do have.
So, yeah, you run out of aspirin, go grab some willow bark.
There's many things to be said about the holistic and natural remedies, but maybe that's something that would be a cool questions that need answers, even if it's a 15, 20, or a half hour segment block.
Yeah.
That would be
I
cool.
mean, there's a lot of medications, the core plants, the
Right.
core, everything comes from something natural on this planet. And they have created it and they use it. Like most of the opioids come from an opium poppy plant. And that's, you take it directly and in a very good concentrated natural dose, you are breaking a couple of laws and committing a few felonies. But if you dose it down, you dilute it, and you mix it with something else, you've got morphine.
Right.
I have a drug that actually works if I consume it consume whiskey with it. The problem I have to add too much alcohol, which creates its own issues. But if I need a boost, I've been known to drink. Yeah,
Well, I've said.
alcohol is.
Hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say you. I've said that before. That's the
I,
only.
I've had a. I worked with a doctor, and a patient was complaining about not being able to sleep, and he's like, "Well, take a shot of brandy."
Right. Now I have permission
She
to
was
drink.
livid.
Yeah.
She was so mad, but that's what his advice was.
Yeah. And I have permission to drink 2 glasses of wine every evening, which,
Mhm.
and I like wine, it's okay, but just from a volume perspective, how about the girl does a shot a vodka in some pineapple juice or some orange juice. The girl's happy that way. It works. It's
I made the mistake of drinking an entire bottle of absinthe by myself and not diluting it down in sugar water. I slept like a baby.
oh, I almost well, we won't tell tales about what we've
That was
done.
110 proof before dilution. So, yeah, I should be dead.
So should I. I drank a fifth of vodka in 15 minutes and went in the swimming pool. If it would have, if it would have been for Eric, I'd be dead to this day. Yep, stupid shit.
Alcohol actually disrupts your sleep cycle, but bad sleep is better than no sleep.
This,
Amen.
I would have been sleeping for quite some time. I wouldn't have these insomnia things.
But
Um,
this what sucks though is like in my younger years, trying to drink away some issues that I went through and some stuff that was going on in my life.
yeah,
I could outdrink most alcoholics, never black out, and never get a hangover.
yeah,
I was the last one to sleep and the first one awake at parties, and it's like, how is that possible?
high tolerance.
That's the thing is, I mean, alcohol does not process properly for me. It does not get
Right,
me drunk. I
right.
have to drink massive quantities. I'm talking like 2/5 and a 12 pack.
Well,
I can take in and still I'll be drunk as fuck, but I still won't pass out. I won't black out. And it's like I had to drink 110 proof straight undiluted absinthe to get a good night's sleep.
I told you last year when they did, or the year, yeah, last year when they did the gummies,
Mhm.
and I took two of the
They're
gummies.
all on cloud 9 and you're like, "What the fuck
Right,
is wrong with you guys?"
and I had two gummies, and I drank a whole bottle of wine. And I'm sitting there at the fire, and I swear to God, they were all floating above the grass, carrying on and having a good old time. And I'm like, huh, 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 huh.
I'm
Like, what?
bored.
Yeah, like, what is going on? And I went in and went to and watched TV. I was like, this is ridiculous. They're all giddy and shit and having fun, and I'm like, huh, 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 huh. Wait,
I've
I'm
had
waiting.
CBD gummies that, not the THC ones, but
Yeah,
or the pot ones, but just CBD only, and it was able to eliminate some of my anxiety and my pain, but it's not
right,
legal where I live.
right.
They only allow hemp CBD, not marijuana CBD.
I
And the
see.
marijuana CBD where I used to live actually frickin' worked.
Well, we also, were on through my PCP. They are a legalized marijuana physician. So
Yep.
they had me. They're like, "Dee, we want you to try this." Uh, and I'm like, "Well, we're down for anything. I really don't like smoking or whatever, so we'll see." I
Yeah.
spent out of pocket $2,000 on product, and not
Wow.
one freaking thing happened. Not one. No sleep, no happiness, no depression, no levitating off the bed, no taking clothes off, no inhibition, nothing. Nothing, absolutely freaking nothing worked.
And see,
Absolute
with me, I'm
nothing.
terrified to even try the different strains because I don't know which one's going to trigger an anxiety attack in me
You
because being
suffer
around
from
even secondhand
anxiety.
marijuana
Yeah,
triggers severe
right.
panic attacks.
Right.
And someone's like, "Well, you just haven't found the right strain." I'm like, "I'm not going through an anxiety attack for the 2,000 fucking different strains out there. I mean, that's like 2,000 freaking panic attacks.
Right.
No."
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, nope, I cannot put myself through that. But if again, I don't mind the CBD versions derived from
Right.
marijuana because it actually helped me and
If
it put me
some
to
you
sleep. It
know
made me so relaxed.
if something would have worked, that would have been one thing, but you know
Hmm.
what I mean? But absolutely nothing worked, and so the only thing that I know and even narcotics do not work that well. Now, I
Yeah,
will tell you, if I do not take them, the pain is way worse than when I do take them. But I'm in pain.
exactly.
But so I'm chronic pain, right, from toes to nose. So when when I say to you that the only thing right now for me that works is alcohol, cannot keep it in the house. We've talked about this. Why I don't abuse
Yep.
my narcotics. I would be afraid that I would have that. Say they say I could have it at bedtime. Then I could just hear the bottle go, "No, D. How about some for breakfast? How about one with your sandwich at lunch? Have one before Eric gets home. Have a couple at bedtime."
So
I
you know you're a risk factor for it.
Right,
And like me, alcoholism runs in my family.
right,
I had my fair bout with it in my teenage years, and I had to cut myself off because it wasn't doing what I needed it to do. I couldn't black out and I couldn't, erase what had
right,
happened in my life.
right,
So, I just quit drinking because I
right,
was going to kill my liver and myself before alcohol had any benefit on me.
right.
And
Now,
now every time my kids even see me with a beer, they're like, "Mom, you're an alcoholic."
uh huh.
And it's like I had a six pack of Corona Lights that lasted 2 years before I
Wow,
finally got through it all. That's how often I drink, and my kids will just literally harass me the entire time because I am such a responsible drinker now compared to what I used to be.
right. So I guess eventually we might get to that point where sometimes the pain's going to get too crazy and
But
you might
at this
not.
point, would your liver outlast all your other health conditions?
Oh, probably not with all the meds. See.
I
We'll see. We'll see next week.
was gonna say, weigh the risk
I'll
benefits here.
yeah,
Would your
cost
liver give
ratio
out
before.
before you die of something else?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, hell no. My liver will outlast what I'm going to die from. Definitely. So
Well,
what the
then it
doctor
wouldn't.
go
Then
for?
what's the harm in becoming an alcoholic at this point?
Well, I got to at least take care of the baby. So, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
you're not going to be drinking an entire
No.
bottle
Well,
three
wait.
times a day.
What did you tell me to do because I throw shit around? You told me to drink out of the baby bottle. Could you see me filling up the
Yeah.
baby bottle with vodka and orange juice while I'm trying to give him a bottle of milk? And then I
Hey, my
accidentally
grandfather
switch.
used to dump a thim my grandfather used to dump
Uh-huh.
whiskey into the baby
Yeah,
formula when for my aunts and uncles and
right.
my mom, and that would definitely help them sleep at
Yeah.
night.
And then I'm drinking
And
I'm
oddly, they're all
drinking his
alcoholics.
I'm drinking his bottle of milk and he's drinking my orange juice and vodka. He goes home all
That'd be
fucked up
freaking
and shit.
hilarious, but, of
It's
course, we're
not
only
funny.
joking, YouTube.
Yes,
This is not
yes.
serious advice. We are just
Joking.
joking.
Yes. It's just,
Oh,
oh my God. That would be so, that'd be so much.
that'd be funny.
How,
That'd be a
how
great
could I
sitcom.
possibly explain that, right? He comes home. Anyway,
That would be an interesting sitcom.
yes. All right.
Alcoholic grandma with shaking hands taking
There
care
you
of a
go.
newborn baby.
There you go. That would be funny. Okay, so what do we
Oh,
have up next? We have,
I don't know. You've got the list.
okay, so we did,
Well, given we only
oh,
got like 10 minutes left.
okay, so throw up, now this was interesting. This came across, uh, my feed separate from the us finding out exactly what the Trump executive order was on the Medicare and Medicaid pills. So this, as I said, came across, and I was like, I had never heard of this.
I
And
hadn't either.
yeah, Crazy B, you could read this one if you're up for it. It is called the Biden pill penalty. And apparently it is up. I don't know if it's been voted on yet or not, but they were requesting that everybody call their congressmen and senators to vote no against the bill. So, Crazy B, have at it.
Okay, so reading this article from the Council for Affordable Health Coverage, um, it says the Biden IRA has been a nightmare for American patients and is causing skyrocketing out-of-pocket costs. Oh, but he got insulin cheap. Just everything else fucking went up. Yeah. Anyways, Joel White, president of the Council for Affordable Health Coverage, told a Washington Reporter, Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress have forced drug companies to move away from developing the kinds of drugs patients prefer because they're easier to take, more affordable, and more widely available. And these companies are now being pushed towards developing more injectables and IV treatments instead. And those are expensive, especially for your ones for like autoimmune disorders like Humira and what's that other fucking one? Um yeah, the one, you know what I'm talking about. If you
Mhm.
don't, Google it. So I apologize, my brain is not working. So when you are forcing people into injectables, you're looking at $300 and you take that thing every week.
Mhm.
And so you're looking at $300 a month for these injectables, and that include and again, oh yeah, he got the insulin down to $35 for certain people. Other people, it's not that way. And other injectables are now skyrocketing. My EpiPens would be considered one of these.
Right.
They're medicines that you have to take by injection because they haven't figured out how to put it in pill form. Well, epinephrine, I can understand you have to have it as injection because you got to get it in your system immediately. But for and same with insulin. There is no way to take a pill form of insulin without it being broken down to a useless point by your stomach acids. I don't know about too many other injectables other than the Humira type ones that are going to work. Will it let me? Oh, here's the full article. Um, so a misguided policy enacted by former Biden has led to 70% decline in investments into small molecule drugs in the United States, raising concerns about the future of American innovation, patient access, medicines, and U.S. competitiveness. So basically, they're not even trying to make some of these drugs in pill form. Oh, let me get to the right page. I apologize. My bad. Um, Hold on. My brain's hurting. Um, so
Maybe you need
yeah,
a
they're
drink.
yeah, I do. Like I said, the biologics. So the sharp decline in investment since 2021 has been fueled by a provision of the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, widely known as the Biden pill penalty. I have never heard it called that, only
Mm.
the Inflation Reduction Act, a policy subject to small molecule drugs, typically pills, tablets, and capsules, to the government price setting 4 years earlier than biologics, typically injectables, drug administered through intravenously IV, and the inevitable result of the fewer cures at higher cost. Um, so that explains why a lot of these hospitals aren't giving pain medicines via injection, but through orally as their
Uh,
first go to. I
mm,
was wondering why the ER started doing that with me. They're like, all of a sudden, they're giving me a pill which takes 45 minutes to kick in
exactly.
versus an
Versus
injection that they used to do as the go to.
right.
Interesting. The problem with price control is that you will reduce variety and increase prices for other things. It's just a function of economics. Exactly. As they want to cap the price on one thing, another is going to skyrocket because of it. So, yeah, that's
Because
why I don't like them doing that.
what? Why? They're never going to lose money. That's why.
They will find a way to make it somewhere
That's
else. Oh, you
right.
wanna cap that? Well, fine.
Uh,
We'll just, increase
yeah.
your insurance
Hmm.
rates and get it
That's
from your
right.
insurance company.
100.
They're gonna find a way to get it, one way or another.
Hmm.
And it's, again, Medicare. Oh, yeah, it's a great thing until you think about all the copays. It's an 80/20. You still
Hmm.
gotta come up with 20% of that $10,000 hospital
Okay,
visit.
so hold on. Yeah, but not only that, I pay an extra almost $200 or a supplemental plan that's supposed to
Yeah.
cover what Medicare doesn't.
And what does it
But
do? Oh, you still get stuck with bill. You still
yeah,
get stuck
you
with
know
something.
why? Because they still follow the Medicare guidelines.
Yep.
Make that make sense to me.
It doesn't. And that's because Medicare is a messed up system, which is why all these jackasses screaming Medicare, universal Medicare. Universal Medicaid would be better than universal Medicare because Medicaid
Mm,
actually covers most of the copays 90% of the time.
yeah,
Medicare is an 80-20 split, and everyone's screaming about it as a freaking moron because they've never looked into what Medicare actually is.
correct.
So yes, I often sit back and laugh at the little commie wannabes for not even knowing what Medicare is. So, I sorry, tangent. That was a little bit
That
a little bit,
you're
you
fine.
know.
You're fine.
Yeah, I came at that pretty hard.
Can you zoom in on that a little bit, Crazy B?
Yes, I can. Oh
Thank you.
my god, these I'm telling you, I can't stand idiot commie wannabes. So yeah. Um, Joe Biden and the Democrats have forced drug companies to move away from developing pills. They want to go with injectables only. And guess what that does? It hurts us.
Hmm.
We've already read that. The more expensive products are delivered
And
and more
and and it
expensive.
hurts physically too.
I can handle injections. Are you kidding? I'm tattooed.
I
I
know.
have body piercings.
I have tattoos too, but it hurt when you have to take an injection every single day. That hurts.
You don't got to put it in the exact same site time after time.
No, but you only have a limited, space that you can put these things, and they hurt. Just
Mm,
like taking your. Thank God I don't have to do my blood sugars every day. But when I'm in the hospital, oh God, they got to do them every 5 minutes. Do you know how
There,
bad?
they. I'm amazed they aren't using. There are glucometers out there that can read off of the
Yeah,
forearm.
I know. Whatever. I'm just saying. But
It's not as painful on the forearm as it is the fingertips.
I'll have to do at certain times. Yeah, what's it called? Uh huh. So that I don't get blood clots. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know the thing, the drug, the
Yes,
thing, the drug.
heparin.
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 There's also another one too. Uh,
Yes, there
the
is,
other
but
one.
heparin is the one that
Yeah.
requires the daily injections. The other
Well,
one, I believe, is a
it's every day
pill
too.
form.
No, the other one's every day too, in an injection. I'll give you the name. I can't remember it. I think it begins with an H as well. I have it.
Okay.
Ask me the
It could just be it could be a generic
generic
name
one.
or a different
Ask
company
me,
name for the same thing. It's arsenic. You're injecting yourself with arsenic.
ask me the last time I did it. Anyway, so, um, but there's only so much space on my stomach to give these injections. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And you turn black and blue, and it hurts after a while. You know what I mean? Who wants to keep giving themselves an injectable? And then you're going to tell me that they want to make more injectables? No way.
Yeah. It costs more, and then again, you gotta
Yeah.
talk refrigeration, you gotta
Yes.
talk
Yep.
proper usage, proper storage in the home. It drives me nuts, and again, I
Proper
know this
disposal of
because
the
I've
needle. Yep.
been there.
Proper disposal of the needle. And now what? So now we're going to go from plastic bottles in the ocean to having needles in the ocean poking the whales. Oh, yeah.
Actually,
A whale
no, the
water.
needles the pharmacies deal with, and they get incinerated, melted down,
No,
and,
they don't.
go from there.
No, they don't.
They're supposed to.
Are you?
Those biohazard stuff, all the biohazard containers are supposed to be incinerated.
We're not going into detail how they get disposed. Let's just
Well,
say,
I'm just telling you
that-
by the books what it's supposed to be.
and I'm just telling you what reality is.
It's
So
messed up.
someday there'll be a whale that
Heads up with some kind of problem.
that's gonna capsize on the beach, land on the beach, and have all kind of needles attached to it because of all the needles that are going to be in the ocean now.
Huh.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I'm wondering why they're pushing for injectables to be
I
more
don't.
expensive.
I don't know. Well, I mean, that's a whole lot more product. You know what I mean? That's more than just a bottle with 30 pills in it. That's going to be 30 injectables potentially, unless you're drawing down the meds out of a,
Oh, they don't even do insulin that way anymore.
So,
Almost everyone's on an insulin pen that does the auto measurements.
yeah, well, I'm thinking of some other things. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that though. We can't give away all the secrets that we know.
Um so there's supposedly it's supposed to result in the loss of 79 new drugs and 116 million years of life expectancy. Really? You guys totaled up how many people are going to die because they're not on that medication?
Yeah, in the next 20 years too. So,
As an emotional jerk trying to pull on our heartstrings. Oh, you poor people. Okay, one, y'all ain't really treated anything, and 9 times out of 10, the side effects are just as miserable as the illness that you're treating.
yep.
Ugh. Just like recycled plastic, we sort for trash pickup every week. Not exactly what happens, exactly.
Ain't
I
that
should
great?
know.
Yep.
There was a time when needles were actually sterilized and sharpened and reused,
Oh, my
patient to
grandmother.
patient.
Yep. Remember they were remember they were silver, and the the body of the needle was silver too, and they filled up the medication, and they
There
had to
were clay
sterilize it in
plugs in the
alcohol.
syringes, or it screwed onto the syringe head, and that is how it was used.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly, yeah, most of them were screw on. But
Mhm.
before that, it was, yeah, and they were a lot larger than they used to than they are
Oh,
now.
big time.
You got scars from those suckers.
Mhm.
But yeah, so they're pulling on the heartstrings. But again, a lot of these companies aren't producing anything that actually cures an illness. I remember glass IV bottles. I'll tell you how long I've had asthma. I remember when the asthma solution came in glass ampules and you had to break off the ends very carefully. And you'd break off one end, hold it over the cup, and then you'd break off the other end for the liquid to fall out.
Oh, wow.
That is how long I have been an asthmatic. I remember when the home nebulizer was about 2.5 foot long
Mhm.
and 2.5 foot high, and you could use it to inflate your volleyballs.
Hmm.
That is, again, those home machines are they were not desktop size back in the day. They
Right.
were sitting on the floor next to the couch
Right.
because you couldn't put them anywhere else. They were big. And that I've had asthma since I was born. I have had respiratory problems my entire life. Oh, and we are over our 2 hour mark. Oh,
We'll
shit.
finish the article.
Okay, so um, the shift in investment priorities could have far-reaching economic implications. American workers who can no longer manage their conditions with convenient at-home treatments may be forced to take more sick days, retire early, and rely on costly hospital visits. Oh, sounds like, a communist state. And their final cure is usually lead. If workers lose access to the medicines that may help them stay healthy and on the job, we're looking at a much bigger economic impact than people realize. Andrew Langer, the Department of Coalition and Against Socialized Medicine, uh-huh, CPAC, told the reporter. This isn't just a healthcare issue. It's about protecting the livelihood and competitive advantage of the American workforce. And that is something I have talked about before. The socialist cure for things is usually lead, 9 millimeter in
Right.
diameter. Anyways, while the US pharmaceutical companies have been forced to reduce their investments in small molecule dose drug due to the Biden pill penalty. I am so sorry. I'm not reading this right. China is surging forward. Since 2021, the number of innovative drugs from Chinese companies has nearly doubled, rising from 2,251 to 4,391. That is a lot. And 76% of all new drugs in China are small molecule drugs. A category the Biden penalty is discouraging in the US. Yeah, they're trying to kill us off. Just going to point that out. China is aggressively investing in small molecule innovations while the US is pulling back. Oh, that's so we can give more money to China and China can, poison our medicines when they send it over here because they don't like us.
That's
Just going
why,
to point that out as an option as well.
and that's why they're probably willing to open up the U.S. market to us.
Yeah, because now we're about to just say, okay, screw you, we'll do it ourselves with what Trump was offering.
Right.
So, at an absolute minimum, Congress should repeal the Biden pill penalty. If they don't, we're going to wake up 5 or 10 years from now and wonder why China is winning the race for medical innovations. I don't think China should be the only one doing it. I think we should all be working together. Not so much compete, but work together because, we're one damn globe. It's not like we can trade with anybody else. Critics of the Biden pill penalty believe the long-term consequences make it an urgent priority for Republicans. A recent survey of voters over 55 found that 88% worry about the pill penalty impact on medical research and patients' access to new treatment, while 80% support legislative action to eliminate it. But did anyone explain the bill to them thoroughly? Also, I'm glad they disagree with it, but do these people actually get to read and look at this bill and understand what they are reading before they did this poll thing?
I don't know. Did Congress?
And it also depends on how you present it to them.
Correct.
Again, I'm not trying to say I support this bill. I'm just asking, were these people fully educated in this before they said, no, I don't want that? Or were they given a sugar-coated summary to make them take the bait and say, no, I don't like this?
Well, just based on what we've uncovered so far, and there's
Mm-hmm.
other documentation supporting this pill penalty, the Biden pill penalty, as it's so called. Um, I'm going to say I would be voting no for it.
Well, with what I understand, but again, I just wonder. I 100% support removing it
Right.
and getting rid of it. I absolutely do. I just wonder because you get all these people that they go do these questions with, and you got to wonder how thoroughly educated are they on this bill and how was it presented to them?
Right.
That's all I'm wondering. I'm being critical about it just because I'm critical about a lot of things. So, even though it got me what I want, the 88% supporting it, that it gets removed, but I just, I still want to wonder, yeah. Anyways,
But it,
in
yeah, but it
response,
yeah, but it hasn't been removed yet. That's the
no, it
thing.
hasn't,
To
and it
vote
should
on it.
be.
Right.
Yeah. Well, of course they're going to drag their feet on this. They got to make as much money off it as possible.
Right.
They got to get these lobbyists to up their ante so they can get the money before they move forward. So, in response, Republican leaders in the House and the Senate are working to eliminate the Biden bill penalty. Biden pill penalty. Oh my God. I will learn to read, I promise. U.S. Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Greg Murphy of North Carolina. And by the way, Greg Murphy's an MD. Have introduced legislation that would extend the same protections to small molecule drugs that biologics receive. So they're trying to counter it. That works. American innovations lead the world in breakthroughs with and life-saving advancements towards eradicating diseases and cancers? Not really, but we're going to shut up because I'll get in trouble for that one. And mostly they're lowering the drug costs and so the pill penalty undermines progress, make it they should have put making it harder to lower drug costs and reduce access to critical therapies for those most in need, Murphy said in a recent statement. Tillis raised similar concerns for patients battling cancer, rare diseases, and chronic conditions. Timely access to innovative treatments can mean the difference between life and death. Except my Medicaid that I've been on because I can't work won't cover the one asthma medication that actually works for me. The one medication, Brio, very great medication. Why won't Medicaid cover it? Oh, it's too expensive. Tell me how that works.
I don't know, but they gave that to me in the hospital.
I gotten it in the hospital before too, and that's why I love it. I know it works.
Right.
Then the insurance covered it for a few months, and then they decided, no, we're not going to cover it after all, and stopped covering it. And then they might start covering it again, and then they don't. And I can't be bounced around like that. I need steady controller medicine. So now I'm on, what is it? Oh, I know the name for it. Atrovent and Dulera and Singular.
Mm-hmm.
Like all political advertising, people are probably never told the truth. Somehow banning plastic bags will either save or delete grandma, depending on who you talk to. There is no truth in any of it. And I was saying it the other day on the podcast yesterday. I was around. I actually worked at a grocery store when they decided to push the plastic bags and weed out the paper bags, all to save the goddamn trees, when they could have just planted more trees and stopped cutting down the rainforest. And, algae is what produces most of our oxygen on the planet anyways. Algae and
Right.
seaweed in the water produce the most oxygen.
It's the dog. Chasey, go with Daddy. Chase,
There's
go.
that.
Yeah, go.
For now, the battle over the Biden pill penalty is playing out in Congress with potential repeal efforts expected to be in the coming months. Congressional Republicans decision on eliminating the Biden pill penalty in the upcoming reconciliation package could determine whether the U.S. remains the global leader in healthcare or whether Americans will have access to the most convenient and affordable life-saving treatments. Why do they keep saying cures? They don't cure a damn thing. They keep it at bay. They keep you alive longer, and they keep you on the medications constantly. They have cured nothing. They have not cured diabetes. They have not cured blood pressure. They haven't cured arrhythmias. They haven't cured seizures. They haven't cured many things. So they can buzz off. Sorry. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm sorry. They pissed me off with that shit.
Please continue.
No, that's it. Actually, the article's done.
Okay.
So I'm done with my rant. I made it as quick as possible.
Thank you. Before we
I'm
go,
trying.
So I found out that the Social Security Administration, you know that they have access to the majority of employers' work records, okay? How much money they make, and so it's automatically transmitted when payroll is transmitted, okay? So
Yes.
records on how much money you make are with Social Security. Well, guess what? They now are getting access to medical records now in order to determine disability, to determine certain things that happen in retirement. I'll get more information on that for you, but the biggest thing is if you're on disability, they now have AI is going to be reviewing all of the records that are in Social Security to determine whether or not you should be on it or not. So we
But
have,
AI can't
uh,
make those decisions.
well,
AI's not listening to the patient. I mean, like, I have severe pain compared to the actual deterioration of my spine. Yes, I have the spine of a 70-year-old, but most 70-year-olds are still out there doing things.
yes.
Mine is actually more severe. For some reason, my body is amplifying my pain levels.
Well, hopefully that's recorded in your record somewhere because
Oh, it is.
they have
Yeah, all the
access
time.
to, yes. And remember, I said to you that just like the credit union, there's also the Medical Information Bureau, and you can look that up. You can Google it. We'll have information later about that as we continue on our programming, but it's called the Medical Information Bureau. Everything and anything about you drug related, every time you go to the doctor, the hospital, is recorded in the Medical Information Bureau, and that's used for a variety of things such as life insurances, can affect your car insurance prices, it can
Yep.
affect your premiums that you pay on policies, healthcare policies, life insurance policies, all of that. So if you think that your credit bureau information is messed up and often inaccurate, go pull your record on the Medical Information Bureau and see how messed up that is.
Yeah.
So that we'll be talking about that later. But I wanted to mention that since we're on this whole medical kick thing about all of this, it never hurts to repeat it and keep honing in on it because this stuff is going to get further and further automated. And I don't know, for example, when somebody we know got into trouble with YouTube and couldn't get a live person, I think it was YouTube, it could have been Rumble, I don't remember which, but they couldn't get a live person and they kept getting an AI response
Oh, that
back.
was X. That was
That was
X.
X. Okay, I apologize. I couldn't remember what that person did, but they were trying to get a response back and it came from AI.
Oh,
So
very much AI.
there was no live person to reach. So what's going to happen in the future as AI becomes more and more involved in this shit? And we will be covering some AI concepts, just what types of impact and where it's going to impact us. Uh, and unfortunately, it's not going away. So,
It's only
crazy,
going to get worse.
correct. Crazy Bee can't stand it. Uh,
I
um,
didn't like it before it was implemented. I didn't like the
right,
idea of it.
right. But it's here and it's here to stay. So, anyway, with all that being said, last week I forgot to mention when I left to remind you guys that programming had changed as of this week. Tuesday through Friday is Rex Sisters 3 to 5. Saturday is gaming and UFC, or as I almost called it, KFC by accident. But I thought,
Kentucky Fried Children.
yes, but I did catch myself, but I did want you to have the laugh for that. Sundays and Mondays will be questions that need answers with Crazy B from 3 to 5. I also mentioned earlier I will not be available tomorrow, so Crazy B's on her own. I'm not even going to be able to call in, so you
Yep.
guys take good care of her, please. And go, go
I'm going to
gentle.
burn the studio to the ground because I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing. There we go.
No, no, I want them to be nice to you, is what I mean by that.
Ah,
Go gentle on.
everybody's nice.
I know,
And
but
even if they're not, I'm just going to ignore them.
well,
I
they
don't
better
like mean
be,
people and I don't give them attention.
just be a little extra nicer to her tomorrow. So, with that said, I'm done and out. So,
I am too.
all right.
As you can hear, my congestion's
Oh,
starting to
wait.
kick in again.
Yeah, wait. I forgot. Please like. follow, subscribe, comment, share. We've
Donate, whatever.
donate, whatever. We have sucked all last week, and hopefully the turn. Hopefully the tide's gonna turn. The corner's gonna turn. Somebody's gonna turn. Well,
Something will change.
I almost said somebody was gonna turn in their grave. Oh my, is that a faux pas? Oh geez, did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. Anyway, with that being said, I'm leaving, so I'm out.
I
It's been
am
a
too.
pleasure.
So
It's been a
y'all
pleasure.
stay safe, stay sane, stay sober, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow.
Good night.